Thank you for checking us out this week on Convincing Idiots. This week, we review what we've watched, what we've listened to. We also talk about current headlines that are in pop culture. This week, unfortunately, Pele has passed on. Barbara Walters has passed on. And we even talk about a TikTok trend about parents getting makeovers from their children. What would we do? What do we think about it? And then we have main topic / question of the week. This week, in honor of Barbara Walters' passing, we choose our 3 people that we would interview on primetime. If we had our choice of living or dead, this week we get to choose our 3 interviewees. So, stay tuned. This is what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, and let's start the show.
All right. Test.
Test.
Test. What do you call it again?
Convincing Idiots.
Convincing Idiots.
Called it ham gravy.
I informed them that I sided with the stat man, not just anyone's opinion, the stat man Brian Fisher.
These kids today.
Jingle All the Way is in fact the best Christmas movie of all time.
I need to get Grandma a present, and my herpes is flaring up. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, yo, yo. I'm the millennial
We're
Santa.
3 friends representing 3 different generations. That's our whole shtick. That's our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nick got the whole poop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in the sea
Awesome.
breeze, holding a turd, just mightily. I'm just going hitting hats.
Anyway, on a lighter note,
And welcome to the podcast, welcome to the vodcast, welcome to the broadcast. Boys and girls, welcome to the show. This is Convincing Idiots. My name's Dean, the Zennial.
I'm Brian, Gen X.
And my name is Nick. I'm a millennial, and if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the show. We are Convincing Idiots, a weekly podcast of 3 friends representing 3 different generations in which we talk about nerd and pop culture items of the week, things that we find interesting. You may find some interesting as well. You may not. All the while, though, you are here, so you might as well settle in and have fun. If you have not already done so, please feel free to follow us. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all the things that you can do to interact with us on social media. We are on all of your favorite platforms. To find links to those, you can simply search on Google Convincing Idiots Linktree, Linkree, rather than list them all for you. You can find a link to each and every one of your preferences there. You can also find that information and so much more on our website. That is convincingidiots.wordpress.com, as well as tidbits about your hosts here that join you every week, ways that you can help the show. Our merch store is up on there as well. All kinds of fun stuff, as well as all of your favorite podcast platforms in which you can hear our voices every single week. If neither of those work for you and you just want to stick to something on your smart TV or on your smartphone, well, we've got you covered there too. There is an app just for you called Boss Code Media, Boss Code TV on your app store. Go ahead and search them up. They are a fun content creator driven platform that bring you all kinds of fun and unique things all the time. We're on there. Our friends at It Came From Gen X are on there, so go check them out. Download the app as well. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all those things. Okay. So it's a brand new year. Our last episode was recorded before the new year, however, uploaded in the new year. So this is our first time joining one another on the show in 2023. Well, gentlemen, we started this podcast in 2020, and here we are in 2023, still rocking, still rolling. Dean looks younger than ever. Brian doesn't
Mhm.
age. He looks the same. And here we go. We're rolling our way into 2023. So, Brian, I would like to start with you. How was your New Year's?
Very nice, very relaxing. Because wasn't able to make it to hang out with you guys. I do appreciate the invitation. So hung out with lovely girlfriend Allie. Just stayed home, relaxed with her daughter and a friend. Just listened to. I like to make an annual playlist. Okay, of artists that passed away, not in a morbid way, but music artists. I'm trying to say that passed away over the past year. I just pull up. You can find these articles out there. Obviously a lot are very popular, but a lot aren't. And a lot I would never really. I'm not ordinarily going to pull up like a jazz saxophonist, for example. However, it's a way to celebrate and recognize artists and branch out and listen to some music that I don't normally listen to. So I've been doing that for like the last 5+ years. So Allie and I listened to that, watched the Ohio State game. So it was very nice, relaxing evening. And then I went over to Peyton, my lovely daughter Peyton, and Joey's new condo
Joey.
on New Year's Day and the day after, and help them paint and get some things together over there. So they are getting ready to get furniture and move in. It's all very exciting for them. So I'm very happy for them taking the next step of their lives. And
Nice.
just nice
Quick
to see
question.
two young folks getting together and doing it. Go ahead, please.
On the Peyton Joey front, did they love
Mhm.
my PB&J idea? Did you? Certainly you told
I
them.
did.
Did you
I
actually?
did.
I was joking. I thought you were
I did. No. I told Peyton that you had suggested that. She said that was very cute. She liked
It
the
is
idea.
cute. It was adorable.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what
All
happens. So overall, very nice.
PBJ, hashtag PBJ 2023. Let's go, baby.
I don't know about 2023. Let's hold up there.
You got the place. Let's go. Let's start a family. Come on,
Slow it
guys.
down.
Maybe
Back it up.
2027, 8,
Mhm.
maybe something like that. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. But very nice. Missed you guys, but a very nice New Year's weekend. So, Dean, how are you, sir?
I am terrific. I have my youthful hat. First, I'd like to, if you've noticed, well, let's be honest. Last week, I got kicked out of my old studio for sleeping, so now I am back in this the old studio. I am doing well.
There's certain criteria to stay in the new studio. You gotta meet certain requirements. You can't be literally sleeping on the job.
I didn't know that, and I was very sleepy on the show last week, and so yeah, I got kicked out. So I'm
It's
back.
very
in the old
important to
studio.
get your full 8 hours every night. Don't forget that, kids.
Listen, kids. It is a very, very important to get your 8 hours. So, nope, I am good. I am sporting my youthful flat brimmed hat given me for my birthday from Brian.
Nice.
And speaking of, I'm also enjoying this beer.
Oh, very good. What do you think?
It's very good. Very good.
So it's
It's a Southern Tier Brewing Company 2Xmas Spice Double Ale.
All right.
It is quite delicious. I had a good birthday, had a good New Year. Went for my birthday. Megan took me out to the Rail.
Nice.
And it's not what she did to me, but it's a restaurant in Northeast Ohio, known for like their gourmet burgers and
very good
such.
burgers. Yeah.
Yes, it was very nice.
Nice. Now I have a question about your birthday. I've been dying to know since I've heard this from last year. Did your parents call you this year?
I got a text.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I figured they reached out to me, so I did call them.
Okay. Good.
And her phone breaks up, and it sounds like
I'm glad they saw my reminder. That's good. Okay.
Well, the phone, her phone breaks up so bad. It's like a robot's talking. It doesn't. I can only hear every other word. So half the time it's just yelling, "What? Huh? What?" So I just am forced to just, sure, okay, and hope that I'm not agreeing to something I don't really want to do. So
okay, so we'll see you for the moving next Sunday.
Right. It got to the point where I ended up calling my dad because her phone just is a piece of shit. So then he spent an hour talking about the dogs.
It's come to our attention, and we forgot to wish you happy birthday in 2022.
Well, my birthday wasn't in 2022, was it?
No, I'm just saying they forgot last year. You mentioned. Yeah.
Oh,
I usually would talk to you about the dogs for a half hour, but because we forgot last year, I'm going to talk to you about the dogs for a full 60 minutes this year.
Yes.
So you don't feel gypped. Yes.
Right. But I feel good. I feel refreshed. 2023 is the year of the Dean. I didn't know if you guys got the memo.
All right.
I could tell.
All things coming up, Dean. Starting with this flat bill hat. I've never owned one before. I think I look probably younger than Nick, if I were to guess.
Probably, I would say so. You look pretty hip, pretty young.
Thanks. That's what all the kids on the playground said.
When does your mixtape come out?
Oh, Saturday. Yeah, it drops Saturday. See,
it drops Saturday. Okay, what the kids say.
Yeah, it's a real bop.
Oh yeah.
See, do the kids actually say that? I was having this argument with Meg. I said bop is a term that kids use to describe like a good piece of music, a good song. Oh, that's a bop. Nick, you have to be the authority on this. Is that something the youth say?
Yes, I would say youths of the 60s probably did say bop. Yes.
What? I am not imagining this. No. I know that I've heard.
Are you thinking of banger?
No, not banger. Like it
maybe they. I don't know. I have not heard.
Maybe you're too old at this point.
Maybe
How
I
old
was
are
going
you?
to say though. I mean, I'm 34 right now. I'll be 35. So I'm not super in touch with the.
Yeah, I can't ask you what terminology is today.
No,
you're way past that.
I am. Yeah, no. See, you're so old, you're circling back to be, it's like vintage. Everything comes back. So you're so old, you're circling back into rotation.
That's right.
Brian's made about 3 passes by now. But another.
I am not allowed to use the word bop at all, period.
Okay.
And Dean, you're pushing it probably over 40. Over 50, definitely not allowed to use the word bop. So
okay, so you're in agreement, Brian, that it is a youth term.
I've heard it.
Thank you.
It's. I don't know that we should be using it, but I think it is a term. Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like that would be something that, like, when you're taking your best gal to a milkshake and a burger place, you're like, ooh, that's
again.
a bop.
That's what she said. No, it's. I've heard kids comment in the section, whatever you're listening to, however you get a hold of us.
Because the kids are listening to this podcast.
that podcast is a real bop, Mom.
It's a real bop.
Okay, so go ahead and ask your grandchildren and then comment below or wherever the hell you're listening to this.
It's a skibbity doo. It is,
and I'm not talking about my favorite listener, Jen, because clearly your child does not isn't hip enough.
Not hip with the kids
to know this.
No.
So, speaking of not hip, Nick, how are you? How was your weekend?
It was good. I had a very pleasant New Year's all around. We missed you, Brian, very much. You and Allie,
yes.
But Dean and Megan and Carter were there, so it was fun. We had our annual Nerf war. Had a lot of good buddies here. A couple friends from hockey and friends and family. My cousin and it's just a really nice time.
I got shot in the eye.
You did, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was very fun. Yep. So no, my mom and everybody.
Gun.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but it was a good time. Like I said, the Nerf war has become a thing. That's a fun tradition. At a certain point, we have an arsenal of Nerf guns. And this year, Robin and myself stowed our favorite guns away in the back closet so that we could just pull them out and be ready. There's tons of ammunition, so everybody grabs a gun. This year, it turned out to be adults versus kids. Mm-hmm. So all the adults grabbed their weapons, the kids grabbed their weapons, and the kids just kind of they fell back down into the basement. So we attacked them. Actually, I am sitting in the aftermath, really, of what was the war zone. Exactly. So we all eventually, I think myself and my buddy Phil were the first one, like, let's go down there. We just stormed down there, and we all came down, and kids were hiding, and it was a good time. We just blasted each other down here. It was a lot of fun. I had some guests arrive in the middle of the Nerf war, which was a fun little icebreaker. Everybody, grabbed a gun and started just, hey, if you're an adult, start. I don't know why kids would just show up alone at my house, but yes, the adults that came in, grabbed a gun, joined our side, and started
Welcome to New
pelting the
Year's
kids with
Eve.
Nerf darts.
Grab a gun and shoot a kid.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Make yourself at home. Aim for the face, if I can offer some advice, always.
Make yourself at home. Shoot my son. It's fun.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know why you turned into an old Jewish woman, but
yeah, go ahead. Don't be afraid. Just fire one right at the schmutz. It's fine. But yeah, it was a fun time. It's always a fun time. It was good hanging out with you, Dino, and the family, and we had sausage and sauerkraut and buffalo chicken dip and taco dip, and it was quite a smorgasbord. I mean, no real set theme for the food. It was just a all-out deliciousness all the way around. So definitely a very nice time. Very much enjoyed it. It was one of my up there. It was one of my more favorite New Year's Eves. It was a good party, good group of people, like I said. Some of my favorite people around, and
I would like to thank
just
you,
Nick and Robin. This close to being a 10 out of 10. It was just a Brian away from being a 10 out of 10.
But I would like to go ahead and thank Nick and Robin again, because I had never Guinness is my favorite beer, and they got me the Guinness coffee stout. And I had never had it before, and it was it went. That's why I'm not unable to show it here, because it was all drank that night. So
nice. Yep. Yeah, Robin got that for you. I don't think she knew there was even alcohol in it. She just thought it was like a cold brew,
Guinness
like in collaboration with Guinness or whatever. So you see like coffee creamers with like Guinness or something like that, or Bailey's or whatever. It doesn't actually have alcohol in it. I think she thought it was something like that. But yeah, no, definitely a good time. Good weekend. The kids went back to school yesterday, today, as a matter of fact. Yesterday I took the day off and we went bowling and stuff like that, and just a little last hoorah for the winter break. And so that's about it. Yeah, just hanging around. Good holiday season, and time to get back to work. 2023. Here we go.
Yep. All right. Sounds great. All right. Well, we all had some time off over the holiday period. So did you guys see anything interesting?
I want to hear yours first.
Idiot reviews.
I want to skip right to you. I want to hear yours first. I'm excited to hear about Avatar. Tell me.
Yes,
everything. Well, not everything, but tell me things.
Yes, I went on Tuesday evening to go see Avatar 2. I just had a notion to go see it. So I asked you guys if you're available. Very short notice. Wasn't surprised that nobody could make it. Allie was not that interested.
I didn't realize that you were meant that, because I was like, well, maybe this weekend we could work something out. You were like, all right, I'm sitting here by myself.
I did not ask for a day. You're right. I just asked if we want to coordinate it, and I'm like, I'm just going to go tonight and go see it. Barberton has the.
I was totally available.
Huh?
I was totally available to go with you.
Yes, but you specifically said you didn't. I was going to say.
Oh, I got you.
I just don't like him that much. It's. You want to hang out? No, I don't.
Not really.
No, I've never seen the first one, so I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think I shouldn't watch the second one first.
Yeah, I would say watch the first one. I think the first one, like we said last week, is on Disney Plus. I think you can watch it there.
Do you need to see it, or is it just kind of helpful because you care about the characters more? Because it's the same, right? I think they have a family now, and it's the same two main. Okay.
Yes. Right. Yeah, I think it's helpful. And I had to remember, how did the human become the Avatar blue guy? I had to sort of remember about that a little bit, but yeah, as I expected, I saw it in 3D. The effects were amazing. Some of the best 3D effects you're going to see. James Cameron again makes the movie knowing you're probably going to see it in 3D. I mean, even down to the subtleties of when the sun moves a certain way, and you get like how the sun rays will reflect off your eyes. You see like the couple rays of sun coming down. Even to that level of detail hits your 3D glass, every so often. Insects fly by, fish swim past in the ocean. It's just, like I said, just for the effects of even if you sit there and like, I don't even know what the hell is necessarily going on, just to take in the environment that you're in. He starts out there in the trees. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but they get run out of the forest. because these sky people come back, which is humans, and then they go and live with a tribe of avatars who are water people. So
Aquatic.
so they have to kind of learn their ways and their culture, and then they befriend interesting creatures of the sea that they can ride. Someone's like a flying fish type stuff, and there's it's just like I said, just really amazing. A lot of action, a lot of drama. I mean, and when you think things are winding down, it doesn't. It takes a turn, so it keeps you really in it. It's a long movie. It's like 3 hours and 20 minutes, but I would say, yeah, that's all right. It did go by fairly quickly. So just kind of prepare yourself for that. You may have to take a brief intermission just to run out back in. It's a long time to sit there, but like I said, definitely worth it if nothing else for the effects alone. But the story was intriguing. Like I said, the action was great. So definitely worth checking out in 3D in the theater without question. So no doubt, it's no surprise, not no doubt, there's no surprise that it's just killing it in the box office that we talked about last week. So, it's definitely getting good word of mouth and highly rated and everything else. So I can see why. So definitely go see Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Okay.
Nice.
And Nick, I took your recommendation from last week, and I watched Don't Worry, Darling on HBO Max. Good movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, I told you, I don't know if I liked it maybe quite as much as you did, but it's definitely recommended. It was an interesting movie. It's sort of known for some of the drama during filming and all that, where, Harry Styles got together with
Olivia Wilde,
sorry.
Yep.
And all that. But again, like you said, it definitely was beautifully shot. Definitely interesting twists and turns, which we won't spoil here. Acting was phenomenal. The two leads, Harry Styles and I can't think of her name, but the woman that played his wife that also played Black Widow's sister in the Black Widow movie.
Florence Pugh.
Thank you. Florence Pugh was just great. So definitely worth a watch on HBO Max. I also checked out White Noise. Now, this is a new movie with Adam Driver. It's on streaming. It's on Netflix. That's where it's at. It's based on a book. Kind of an odd movie. It's sort of it's about a kind of mundane life family. What's going on, and then a toxic cloud runs them out of the house. They have to evacuate. It's just interesting. If nothing else, for this movie, it's not rated the best necessarily, but the acting for Adam Driver alone, worth a watch. There's scenes of him. Don Cheadle was in this as well. They both play professors at a local college. Adam Driver plays he's like a Hitler historian,
Okay.
So there's scenes of him teaching the class that are just terrific. And there's one scene where Don Cheadle is talking about Elvis Presley, like Elvis history, and then Adam Driver in the same lecture are kind of walking around the room, and they're both kind of not comparing Elvis to Hitler, but it's just a kind of an interesting dynamic of how a person can develop a following and stuff like that. So, like I said, if nothing else, for the acting of Adam Driver, we'll definitely go check out White Noise.
We are part of this podcast, so we get it.
Of course. And I started to check out Guillermo del Toro Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix as well. And these are like a 45 to 50-minute episode, horror themed episodes. They don't tie together. They're all separate stories. So it's a kind of a darker, I don't want to say Twilight Zone necessarily, but they're all horror themed stories. So I've watched a few of those episodes so far, all very interesting in their own right. So if you like horror, definitely check that out on
horrors.
Netflix. Yes. And tonight I watched the first episode of, there's a new documentary on Netflix, Madoff, the Monster of Wall Street. I watched the first episode of that, the Bernie Madoff story. Fascinating. I've heard the story a few times. Yeah.
Did you work at all this week?
Yeah. Seems like you didn't it? Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
A lot of these
he watched all these on New Year's Eve when he wasn't hanging out with us.
That's right.
a lot of these were extended time off, extended weekend type stuff. I'll sit up late sometimes and watch some stuff, but yeah, it seems like I did. It didn't work that much. Anyway, that's okay. I got a lot of stuff this week. All recommended.
Very good.
Yes. How about you, Dean? What have you seen? Anything interesting over the past week or so?
Well, if you had watched on the YouTube channel this podcast last week, I may or not have fallen asleep, and I slept up until just before we started recording now. So I haven't really had time to watch anything. Honestly, I haven't. I've been busy with work and everything. I caught a unfortunate Monday Night Football incident that we probably should, just kind of get it out of the way now. That was very scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To see that guy go down, and luckily he's breathing on his own. They say he's in critical condition, but he's
stable now, or
he's breathing on his own, and they don't think there's any neurological damage or anything like that. So
that's wild, because he was down for a long time.
Yeah, 9 minutes they were doing CPR, but I guess they got his heart started on the field.
Yeah.
So
Damar Hamlin is the player's name.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
that's okay.
Damar
That's
Hamlin.
Hey, he did write a note. I saw today. It's all over the news where he wrote a note who won the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was alert enough to. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I'll be curious who won the game. So that's a good sign.
Yeah. So
they're like, we're still waiting for you so we can finish it.
Right. But one thing I did start tonight. You ever get on YouTube and you start going down these rabbit holes, different older things, and I have been on like a 2-hour just straight Jiminy Glick.
Hard and short
rabbit hole. It is so good, so funny. So, I mean, I know when's the last time Jiminy Glick was on TV? I mean,
man,
it was an HBO show, right? But man,
it was on Comedy Central. They've had specials here and there, but it's been a long time. But it's Martin Short doing an interview series with different celebrities, and it's kind of him casting a light on how these inept celebrity interviewers, don't even listen to the subject, don't even, have the worst questions, and are just kind of backhandedly rude. And that's what this character is. And so I can't imagine, if you're listening to this podcast, you've never heard or seen Jiminy Glick, but go down the rabbit hole. Pull it up on YouTube, Jiminy Glick, and you could just spend hours. It's funny as shit. So that's my only recommendation. I'm sure I watched something, but I don't remember.
That's right.
Nikolai.
Well, I watched something that I think you probably watched too that maybe you don't remember. The newest season of Letterkenny came out this week. Did you watch Letterkenny yet?
I have not got around to it. Like I said,
thought
I've been
you said
busy.
you watched it on your birthday, but
I was going to, but I got railed. I went to the rail instead.
Well, there you go. Priorities. I mean, something like that comes up, you got to take part. But no, Letterkenny is. I mean, there's not anything. If you've watched it before, it's just solid. Like it's, what to expect all the time. It's solid. It's good. It's funny. So check that out if you're a fan of Letterkenny. New season is out now.
One of the best shows on TV.
I watched also I watched Black Adam finally. Got around to that.
Okay.
And I've got to say, by DC standards, very good. Very good. As a movie on its own, fine. It was middle of the road. You know what I mean? Like if this was just a standalone superhero movie that was not tied to this universe or that universe, you're gonna, it was entertaining. There was definitely good comic relief in there. It was the effects were better than what we're used to from DC. There's a lot of cool characters in there. I did enjoy it but by DC standards, certainly one of the best that they've done. I would say, for me personally, the only thing that's close to it is the newest Suicide Squad, because that was entertaining, as this was entertaining. But other than that, DC's kind of been abysmal. Other than, I'm not including like the Batman, because that's, I don't know. If that's in the conversation, then obviously, hands down, that just takes everything.
It's not in the
But-
same universe.
Right, but I mean, as far as some of the DC comic related things that we've been seeing in characters, they're pulling out that, it definitely superseded the Justice League movies and all that stuff, and it's been better than what they've tried to do, with some other characters, the Wonder Womans and Aquaman and things like that. So, definitely entertaining. The Rock's good in it. Not a groundbreaking performance. It was very, straight man. He's in this new world from where he's awoken into this new world, and he's very, somber and straight to the point and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't want to, his performance didn't necessarily knock my socks off. But again, he's likable. The character's likable. And it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable movie. I thought it was well done. So solid recommendation.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Hawkman, Hawkman was cool in that. He helped make the movie for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And of course, Pierce Brosnan was a favorite of mine as well.
Yes,
his character. I can't remember his character's name, but yeah, he was fantastic.
Something. Yeah.
Dr.
Kind of their version of Doctor Strange, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So after watching this one movie, I already cared more about this off-brand Doctor Strange than I did the actual Doctor Strange. So it was very strange. But no, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really good. Other than that stuff, though, I don't know. I can briefly touch on this. It's not really a great recommendation because I can't tell you what it's called or where to find it. But if you Google, there is a documentary out that I just kind of, Robin had it on, and I was very interested in it. It was like a documentary on, basically it was documentary shadowing the mother of one of the kids that shot up Columbine. And just digging into his life and how, everybody made it out to be this troubled kid and the trench coat mafia and the music and the this and that. And they're going through all this stuff. And they're like, I mean, everybody, constantly when that stuff was going on, where were the parents and where were, this and that. And they're like, he had a very normal upbringing, very loving kid. It just totally this came completely out of left field for her. You know what I mean? She's like, we were a close family. He was a good kid. He was a compassionate kid. And it just kind of, it's a little unsettling, to be honest, to watch for more than, the obvious reason that, the events that took place, but just kind of like that to this parent by her, recalling of her child's upbringing and the events that took place. She didn't see it coming. By her recollection, there was no signs of anything sinister happening or that he was troubled or anything like that. It's kind of scary.
I didn't see the documentary what you're talking about, Nick, but
yeah.
Why would she it makes her look bad if she admits, yeah,
sure,
I can see it. I get that he'd do that. You know what I mean? It makes her look like a shitty parent.
Yeah. But she was so steadfast in just that.
For sure.
How hurt that she was that all the things that you would hear and well, if there was love in the home, things like this don't happen. And this is what happened when kids aren't heard and listened to. It. She's like, I don't know what I don't know what could have been done different. We were close. We were, we talked to each other all the time. We had dinner together. We had a very normal family dynamic, and it was just kind of.
Maybe that's what happens when you start hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Like your parents.
You're saying that I started hanging out with my parents and they're the wrong crowd?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what it sounded like you were accusing me because no.
Yeah, I'm saying that those kids, even if so that say these parents are good parents. They start hanging out with the wrong crowd, kind of like, Brian was a wholesome young man, before this podcast. Now look at him. Corrupt.
Look at him. Weathered and beaten and just...
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's 13 years old, people. Look at YouTube.
Yeah.
13.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's about it for me. I can't think of anything else I watched.
I remembered one. There's this show on FXX called Kindred. It's about
I may have heard of this. But I would love to hear an
Stop me if
detailed.
I've heard it.
I would love to hear a detailed and comprehensive explanation about what
Okay.
it is. That would be great. If you could provide one of those, I haven't heard one of those yet.
Oh yeah, I know it's highly recommended. That's right.
It is highly.
I just
Yeah.
remember hearing so good. It's just
No, the plot of the story is
man, it's so good.
There's
It's just really good.
there's like it's not even younger than millennial, whatever this new generation is called. But
You should know you're one of them.
Gen
That's
Z.
right. What's that? Gen
Some
Z.
of the newer-
Okay.
Yeah.
So a Gen Z African American girl moves to Los Angeles from New York, and she kind of wakes up in the middle of the night and just all of a sudden realizes, kind of turns around, and she is in like a place she doesn't recognize. And there's a baby in the room, and she turns over the baby because it was laying on its face or whatever, and she realizes she's not in her time. And she gets scared and gets, because people see her, and she pops back to 2022. And then it keeps happening. And she's going back to I think the year's 2015 at first. And then every time she goes back, it's a couple years later, in the 1815, 1820 something or whatever. And again, without giving away spoilers of, who some of these people are, it's a if you like time travel, it's a really cool concept. It's kind of like The Patient. Each episode will leave you wanting to go to the next one, so it's very bingeable. It's really cool. The concept's cool. The acting's fantastic. Like, for example, the boyfriend is Schlubby. He's a great actor, but like there's a shirtless scene, and he looks like, if I would take my shirt off and film a sex scene, right? Something you don't necessarily want to see. But I like that they didn't just go with like the chiseled
It was
ab.
real. Yeah.
Yes. So, no. Again, my comprehensive, non-tired, we'll say, recommendation for Kindred on FX and Hulu. So,
All right.
Was it so good?
so good, dude.
So good.
Dude, you gotta fucking see this. So good. So good. I tell you how good it was. Fuck.
All right.
Well, there might have been so good, but there are some things in this life that just feel almost too good to be true. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I agree.
Do you know what I'm saying, Dean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head. I was just thinking.
Well, fuck. I can. Top three things that feel so good. When Brian gives you a compliment, because it doesn't happen that often. When Nick,
it does, I don't know. It happens quite a bit.
when Nick gives, no, to me, when Nick gives you a hug, because those bony little arms, it just feels so good. It's like a tree's holding you so tight and loving. And number three is when you
it's like
get
the lobster from Little Mermaid's hugging me.
Yes. It's like teenage Groot. And the third and the most important is when you know you are secure and covered with insurance. And there is only one way to do that, ladies and gentlemen. That is with Blake Insurance. Blake Insurance is an Erie insurance agency located right here in Barberton, Ohio. They provide auto, home, renters, and business insurance with honesty, decency, and affordability. Erie Insurance is above all else in service. You want to call 234-571-5359 or visit Blake LLC or BlakeInsuranceLLC.com. You'd think the glasses would help. For your free
like Spike
5-minute
Lee.
quote today. Thank you. I appreciate that. But when you do, tell them that Convincing Idiots and Spike Lee say.
Very good. Excellent.
Spike Lee.
So
Hey, you got to go to YouTube, people.
That's
I didn't know I was courtside at Madison Square Garden. God
That's
damn,
right.
Spike Lee's up in here.
That's right. That's right.
He's watching the Knicks. I'm watching the Dicks.
All right, guys. We're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back with some pop culture headlines, and then our second segment, our Ask an Idiot segment this week is going to be
This
about
is a good one.
yes, interviews. So, who, if you could pick anybody, or like three, we just said three people,
Vampires.
living or it could be, but living or dead. These are actual people, though, no fictional characters.
Oh.
You could interview. Who would those three people be? So that's going to be our Ask an Idiot segment coming up after the break. It's going to be so good.
So good.
This is
So good.
So
You
good.
guys, you gotta come back and check it out. It's gonna be so good.
No, you guys, you guys really should come back. So good.
That's right.
You're gonna love it.
Be right back.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64. I cook with it, steam with it, educate the team with it. My Commodore 64. I kids with it, cats with it, count not 64, the hats with it. My Commodore 64.
64K memory at a price that will put a computer in every home, business, and school years before anyone ever dreamed.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64.
Welcome back to Convincing Idiots. The pop
Thanks for
culture
having me.
headlines. Yes, absolutely. Some pop culture headlines here, gentlemen,
Let's hear 'em.
over the past week. Yeah. Well, our
Is that
final
Pop
segment
Tart
tonight.
culture? Is that what that's short for?
Ooh, I wish.
We should
What's your
talk
favorite
about
pop-
maybe.
Yeah, your favorite Pop Tart. Let's do like an entire 1 hour, no, hey, how are yous? No,
Mhm.
nothing. Just all Pop Tarts for an hour.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
like this.
Yeah, we'll do it for our 200th episode, like extravaganza, something like that. Yeah,
The world in Pop Tart culture.
yeah. Ooh, yeah,
That's not bad. That's not
yeah,
bad.
yeah. There you have it.
He knows it was so shitty he went away.
You guys went away. I was still here.
Hashtag Pop Tart pop culture, something like Pop Tart culture. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, our last segment tonight, guys, we're going to talk about some Marvel rumors. There's a lot of Marvel rumors that are brewing around. I'm wearing a Secret Wars T-shirt, so we'll talk about that in our final segment. But
You're not supposed to tell people about it. It's a fucking secret.
something
He could never keep a secret.
That's right.
Everybody knows the combination.
So something Marvel is making that is not a rumor is a documentary. It's going to be on Disney Plus to celebrate Stan Lee. So Stan Lee, his 100th birthday would have been recently. And it just tells the whole story about Stan Lee. So I love this. I'll definitely watch this. I think he's a very fascinating man, very creative person. So I'm into it. So are you guys interested? Are you going to watch the Stan Lee documentary? I think it comes out, it doesn't say exact date here. I think it's to be announced when it'll be out there, but sometime in 2023. What do you think about the Stan Lee documentary? What's that?
No, next question.
Okay.
No, I've actually watched a couple different documentary type things on him, and you're right, he is very fascinating. So if you can go into a deep dive and show me stuff I haven't seen or don't know, absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I
Nick, what
find
do you
it
think about Stan
so
Lee?
cool. Yeah, absolutely. I just find it so cool that like that man's imagination, his just the the fact of how many beloved characters that he created, or at least co-created, helped come up with. You know what I mean?
Had
That were
hands
hatched
in it at the very least.
from his mind. That, you know what I mean? It's look at the guy that fucking took credit for Batman. He couldn't even come up with one single idea. He had to steal somebody else's. This guy came up with like the X-Men and Spider-Man and like Iron Man, Thor, like all these. You know what I mean? It's just wild. So, and from what I understood of him, by all accounts, I think he was a pretty pleasant man. Like, I think he seemed to be
like it.
kind of what you would want in a role model, and he helped pave the way for so many others and so many other people who became who forged a career for themselves in the comic book industry. I know he helped them along the way, and most people that I've heard from, whenever they recall memories of Stan Lee, they always have very fond memories and a recollection of him. So I would absolutely be down to see a documentary about him. I think he was just like I said, I thought he was just a wonderful guy. I loved his cameos in all the movies. I loved he had a cameo in the Amazing Spider-Man video game. He had a cameo in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which is a DC property. They actually did a little thing where they're at in Hollywood, making the movie, and Stan Lee comes in, and he's just like, they even make the joke that he just loves cameos, and it's him, it's his voice.
That's awesome.
He goes, I just love cameos, and so they were like, this isn't even a Marvel movie. So, but I don't know, I just he seemed to be very
I'd
self-aware,
watch it if I was a child.
A fun-loving guy, just an incredible talent, an incredible imagination, and he seemed like he was probably a pretty incredible person. I didn't know him, obviously, but he seemed like a good dude.
Yeah, I agree. I just even look at this. It's hard to see it on camera. I know it's a purposely worn-looking shirt. This is the cover of a Secret Wars 1, which was the original miniseries back in the 80s. And just to look at this shirt, he created the majority of these characters on this shirt. A Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the X-Men, just amazing. And like you say, he also gave the characters personality. So he did not just only come up with the superpowers of the hero, but he had the mindset of, like, Spider-Man, for example, to say, this character would resonate more if he's a young, dorky teenage kid in high school getting picked on, and so many kids can relate to that. And here's a kid that's hiding a super, he could beat the crap out of everybody in high school if he chose to do so, but no, he kept himself humble. But just the whole thing, just the whole lesson behind it and everything else. So I agree. Just a fascinating man. I would definitely check out the Stan Lee documentary sometime this year. And another nice story I saw.
Do you know what I really like about Stan Lee? He really looks like somebody who really would enjoy a nice robe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sure. Yeah, just hanging out in a robe or like a smoking jacket or something like that. You can picture Stan Lee around the house. Yeah, smoking a pipe, something. I don't know.
I'm like searching the Rolodex of my mind to be like, is this supposed to be setting up for a segue? Like, what is happening right now?
I don't think so. Just
I'm like, do we have a robe sponsor that I don't know about?
I'm just stating facts here.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Cozy Robesies is the proud sponsor of Convincing Idiots. If you, like Stan Lee, enjoy a good robe, you need to head over to cozyrobesies.com. I don't know.
Cozy Robesies sounds like a Marvel villain.
Cozy Robesies. You won't get away with this, Cozy Robesies. Cozy Robesies.
Yeah, I think he fought Dazzler. I think he fought Dazzler in the comics, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I did see another nice story on TikTok. Last week we talked about on TikTok kind of a ridiculous trend in self-dentistry videos on TikTok.
Did we do that?
We did. We did talk about that.
Brian and I did. Yep.
That's right. This trend, though, I like this one. So this is a makeover trend. So basically, daughters are making over their moms, like kind of giving them a youthful appearance or whatever, and kind of filming mom coming out and doing the whole runway type deal. And they're also now starting to do it with dads as well.
See, those are my favorite episodes, like Montel or Ricky Lake or whatever. When they they didn't have people fighting or stuff. They had where they bring the dads out who had the long ponytail, and he comes out with a nice clean cut and everything.
Nothing makes you sound more like a youth than referencing Montel and Ricky Lake.
No, but I just think it's cool. I think it's a nice bonding moment for the kids with their parents. It's a very fun, loving thing, and no one's making fun of their parents or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, just
see. If I was
a nice trend. Go ahead, please.
If I was rich, like if I just had fuck you money, I would totally just take strangers off the street.
Okay.
And pay and
spit on them.
No, I am a good person, unlike you. I'm a wholesome character. And I would pay these people to
spit on you.
Mainly, well, yes, but that's a whole new subject all in itself. That's a different transaction. No, I would pay them to, like, especially like ugly people, and see if I could get them to look a little better. Because like you see these people standing in line they're just ugly, and ugly people make me sad. So I would like want to pay them to like, let me help you try not to be whatever this is.
You there in aisle 3, you look frumpy as shit. Come with me. Let me make you feel better about yourself, so I can look upon you with pleasure.
You there next to the milk, and looks like you produce it. Come with me.
Flat brimmed hats for everybody. That's right. That's right. Put that sticker back on it.
That's right.
It is on there.
That's right.
It's on there.
Yeah.
No, you're telling them.
Tell them.
On the
I thought you were calling me out. I'm like, no, dude. I'm hip. Sticker stay on.
What, do you want to look poor? Keep the sticker on. You being poor is making me sad.
I mean, at least pay people to wash their goddamn hair. I mean,
there is a guy though out there too. So this is kind of along the same type of mindset, to where it's a guy that goes around and he films himself. He's a professional barber. He does very very good work. So, but he films himself. He's carrying his stuff on the street, and he just stops people at random, or he'll find somebody sitting there, and it's the same type of thing. He goes up to him, he says, "Hey, what's going on?" Introduces himself, and he asks the permission to give him a free haircut. And some of these people look like they probably haven't had a haircut in a while. Now, some people are homeless. Some people are just, they could use a haircut, whatever they're due. He's done it with kids.
That's
and they
nice.
agree. Yeah, and they agree. And then he sits down, but he's a super positive guy, and he's asked them.
See, that's what I would
questions. He interviews them. What's your goals? What are your dreams? It's just all super positive. He gives them a very awesome, clean cut, and you get a little mini transformation in a TikTok video. I don't know. I wish I knew his name to give him the proper call out here. But
see, if I had the money, I don't. If I can't have the money to do this makeover thing for ugly people around the world, I think it should be a law that homeless people should have to shave their heads. To stop lice or whatever. And it's just all that nappy hair, it's all like matted, and they probably got like, I don't know, like other ugly people living in it. Just shave it. Make it a law.
All right.
Brian.
Very positive. Very positive.
I'm a positive guy. It's 2023.
You haven't been positive for anything except gonorrhea. So you're not positive. Not in spirit, sir. No.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's cool. The makeover stuff is cool. It's uplifting and all that. So that is nice. Good to see some positive things coming out of TikTok with some of the crazy trends and everything out there. I think positive on TikTok is us.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, you can find us on TikTok.
Maybe next the kids will stop making over their parents, start pulling their teeth out.
That's right.
What?
That's right.
Oh
yeah, you had to be here last week for it.
Yeah, but I was here. I was here.
All right, so I do have a couple not as positive stories here, but just to mention, yeah. Well, first of all, making a lot of news. Jeremy Renner. Now he's the actor that plays Hawkeye, and he's a very well known actor. Plays a lot of different roles. Poor man had a snowplow accident recently at his home. So, if I read it correctly, the snowplow was starting to move away, and he tried to get into it and stop it, and it basically ran over him.
Yeah, because he was like trying to help somebody that was about to hit or something like that.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, talking about a fucking superhero, right?
I guess so. And another superhero was his neighbor. So his neighbor is apparently a doctor and saw the commotion or something and ran over there and had to apply a tourniquet to one of his legs because he was bleeding. So he very well may have saved his life. I don't know. So. But he posted a picture on social media within the last day or so in a hospital bed. He's beat up, but he's acknowledging that he's recovering and thanked everybody for the well wishes and everything else here. But
that's wild.
Yeah, so it's he was in critical condition but stable and improving. So we definitely send our best to Jeremy Renner.
He'll be happy to hear that from us. I think he'll be like,
"That's right."
Of course, Convincing Idiots is in my corner.
Well, it's a good chance for him to get caught up on like maybe the superhero battle brackets and stuff like that. And
yep, absolutely.
He is hurt, so he probably does have 78 hours of listening to.
That's right.
To do.
That's right. Another well-known person that passed away recently, Pele. So Pele.
Yeah, I heard he kicked the bucket.
Yeah, that's right. Sure did. Kicked things very well. He was, one of the most famous. That's right. One of the most famous soccer players that ever lived. He first played in the World Cup and scored multiple goals when he was 17 years of age for Brazil. Oof. So pretty amazing stuff. I don't know that we'll ever see maybe that again with such a young person making such an impact on the sport. I'm sure over in Brazil, he was probably more than idolized over there.
Oh, yeah.
Probably hadn't paid a dinner and who knows, almost his whole life over there. And I remember as a kid, it was.
I honestly think that there might be a statue. Let me look it up, but I think that there was.
Yeah, go ahead. Look that up. No, I was saying even as a kid in the early 80s, they had an Atari cartridge, Pele Soccer. So it was the
I remember that.
First video game that I could remember. Might have been the first video game that had an athlete's name tied to it because he was so famous back then. And Atari was smart enough to grab him and license the game. So Pele Soccer was a game that I owned way back when, with barely understanding what the heck soccer was. But I knew who Pele was. He was going back as a child. So I'm not as much of a soccer fan necessarily. So Nick, obviously you coach soccer. Are you more of a fan? Were you a Pele fan growing up, or are you not really?
Not really. Like I was. I mean, I was always. It kind of, for me, it speaks to the level of fame that he was, and the legend in the sport that he was, because I couldn't tell you a lot about Pele, but everyone knows his name. Like everyone knows who he is, and that he had this incredible career. But I mean, honestly, I grew up around soccer and things like that. My grandfather was a big soccer fan, and we'd watch it and things like that. But I mean,
there's statues
much before my time. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the greatest to ever do it. I mean, the stuff that he did is legendary. So just kind of, like I said, is a testament to how incredible that he was all these years later, and generations that have come along and know the name maybe without even knowing that much of what he did, but certainly are familiar with the name.
Yeah, a lot of guys here, just reading the article here, just they definitely were influenced as kids with watching Pele. So he definitely helped start a lot of professional soccer player careers by his influence on kids growing up. So
you say 17 in the World Cup, like doing this shit. I mean,
amazing.
He's literally a child. I mean, it's like, hey kids, do you want to go play in the World Cup? Look, this kid did it.
Yeah, just amazing. Did any thoughts on Pele?
Yeah, so He is on the same level as Albert Einstein. Work with me here. Now,
He is the logo for our podcast.
no. He is all right. When
Can
you
we
were a
add Pele
kid,
to our podcast for no apparent reason? Just like
hope
it's
so.
a little cartoon head.
but when you were a kid, somebody did something dumb. What do you say? Good job, Einstein. When I was a kid, I know that if you went to kick something and you fucked it up, or you fell, or you kicked the wrong way,
yeah.
nice kick, Pele.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You are so good.
that's like
At what
Gretzky or
you
Jordan
do?
or whatever. It's like that's the pinnacle. That's
Right.
the name that goes with the sport.
Right.
Sure.
So
I know
you
what
are
you're talking
so
about.
good that when somebody fucks up, against what you did, you
Mhm.
are the example. So that's how big he was.
Yeah, that's it. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, very good. Okay, we lost a icon in the music industry, Anita Pointer. So
I hope we find her.
Yeah, that's right. One of the Pointer sisters, certainly very famous in the '70s, and they had some hits in the '80s. I'm so excited, and there's a lot of different songs that the Pointer sisters.
That's rude, dude. She died. You're
I know.
excited about
Yeah,
it?
Yeah.
Ain't right.
Anyway, I like the Pointer Sisters. They definitely, great harmonies, very good. It was sad to see her pass. She was 74 years of age. Yep. Okay. And another huge pop culture figure, news figure, passed away recently. 93 years of age. The great Barbara Walters passed away. So definitely a pioneer for women on television, women in news,
women in general.
Sure, absolutely. Definitely became known as made a huge name for herself as a very famous interviewer. To a point where she was, before Oprah, and Oprah did give her nice credit recently when she passed away, that without Barbara Walters, there would be no her and a lot of other women on television. So at the time, if you were interviewed by Barbara Walters, you had reached a pinnacle of fame in whatever you were doing, whether you're a politician or an actor or whatever it was. It was a very big deal to be interviewed by Barbara Walters. Certainly later years, she went on the daytime show The View, was on that for a few seasons, and then retired from there. And so I'm sure I've watched some of her interviews, specials over time. I don't know if anyone necessarily jumps out at me in particular, because it was, maybe a little bit before my time watching her interviews.
What do you mean before your time?
Well,
one of her biggest one was Monica Lewinsky.
I know.
Especially like on Oscar nights. Before the Oscars, she would interview all like the leading, the actors that are involved, nominated and whatnot.
Fair enough. I mean, before my time, before I was really taking more of an interest in something like that and watching it necessarily.
You too busy out there chasing tail.
Yeah. Things to do, man. Things to do.
I get it.
No, but definitely,
I never got any tail, so it was strictly all Barbara Walters all the time.
All about them shoulder pads, baby. I'm here for the shoulder pads.
Barbara Walters and MASH reruns for Dean.
Right.
That was it.
And a bottle of lotion, that's a hell of a Saturday night.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Anyway, so any thoughts on Barbara Walters, Dean? You've already mentioned a little bit here. Obviously you mentioned Monica Lewinsky. Did any other interviews that she did stand out? Or go ahead.
She's done every. She would do every president, like candidates and stuff. Like, I mean,
Monica or Barbara?
No, Barbara.
Okay.
There wasn't a celebrity out there in the 1980s and 90s that she didn't have a sit-down, in-depth interview for. I mean, she was one of the most famous things that she was known for was asking such good questions that she would have her subjects would cry on air. And all of them would say the same thing. Damn it, I wasn't going to do this. I can't believe you got me. She was that good.
Mm-hmm.
And she came up in an industry, which is the news industry, especially coming in this 50s, 60s, and 70s, was so male dominated, so chauvinistic, so, Mad Men type shit.
Mm-hmm.
She had to fight and claw, and she was so good. She made it look easy. And I know it wasn't. I know she had, at every turn, blockades of human trash, and she overcame it, and she became an icon, and she will always be remembered as such.
Yeah, agree. You're right. The commentary and the way she was just ridiculously hard at times, I'm sure, which she had to listen and put up with, I'm quite certain. So, but the fact she hung in there and made a name for herself, and again, like we said here,
she surpassed all those cocksuckers.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Nick, I know she was definitely, when she was at her prominence, you were just a very young lad.
You were still dribbling down your dad's leg.
That's right. Yeah. I honestly, so like, can we stop for a moment and just admire like what you had said earlier is such a testament to like how many people, typically when you're an interviewer, you get the big star, you get the big celebrity, and that's a big get for you. That is very important for you. And for her, like you said earlier, it was the other way around. You weren't
right.
I mean, if you required Barbara Walters' time a day, that meant something about who you were as a celebrity, which is pretty incredible. Like that's just phenomenal. So just hats off to her. Like you said, all the stuff that Dean said, I echo as well. For me, like you said, I was very young. My main introduction, or how as a youngster I knew Barbara Walters, was Sherry O'Terry's rendition of her on Saturday Night Live.
Just thinking
and
that, yeah.
Sherry O'Terry actually posted a very nice thing when Barbara Walters passed, on Instagram, pictures of her dressed up as Barbara with Barbara and all the stuff. And, she had this like glossy, thing over the frame of the camera where, when she'd do her interviews. And, Barbara Walters was a good sport about everything. And there was a documentary. I mean, it's probably been close to 10 years ago. There was one that I saw that just basically followed her life, her upbringing and things like that. And, she had this. There was this thing, she couldn't pronounce her R's very well. And, when people would imitate Barbara Walters, I'm Barbara Walters, and this is, and this is 2020, like she had this thing. And, they talked about that and how she struggled with her speech and things like that and worked on that, but it kind of became a little bit of a signature for her. And like, just, you can use all the cliches, what a trailblazer, but just seriously, like, what a fucking boss ass bitch. She just took everything. It didn't matter what was in her way or what time she was coming up or what obstacles she had in front of her. She just broke down all the barriers, and she was a fucking powerhouse. Like, there's just no two ways about it. And so, like, yeah, rest in peace to Barbara Walters. She was just incredible.
It definitely let you know what level of celebrity you were at. You know what I mean? Your publicist calls and goes, hey, you have an interview coming up. And in your mind, you're like, shit, Barbara Walters, I'm doing the interview. And he goes, sorry, nope, Hugh Downs. Ah, shit. All right.
No, all fine tributes here, guys. So yeah, I definitely leaves behind a very powerful legacy. Well, in the spirit of the late great Barbara Walters, so Dean came up with a good Ask an Idiot topic. Matter of fact, we were talking about it at the brewery last evening with Ashley and was it Joey, the other bartender?
Yep, Joey.
Yeah. It was actually a very good conversation. So, you want to describe what the Ask an Idiot is? Dean?
First, I'd like to say it reminded me, as we were talking about it, the four of us sitting around at the bar talking about it, it reminded me of like where this podcast started. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I'm thinking that's what this was, mentally
you and
came
Brian
up from.
Talking about things without me?
Oh yeah, because you won't come out unless
Yeah,
we're
I was
hockey
never
game.
told, but I was never told.
Yeah, that
that's
would have
fine.
made the difference.
That's fine. That's fine.
Mhm. Sure. You got a better chance of having Brian come out for New Year's Eve. Anyways, the point of this is you get to interview. I mean, I'm going to go with one, but we're going to end up doing, having three choices. But you get to pick one person in history, alive or dead, real, alive or dead, and you get to interview them for an hour, prime time. Everybody's watching. And the criteria, I think we agreed that they're not going to be. They're going to be more truthful than they like. If it's a politician, they're not going to give you like, "I love America and America's great for us." You know what I mean? But they're not going to be like 100% like tell you the secrets of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Did you fuck Marilyn Monroe? Well, that's none of your business. You know what I mean? Like, so
Right. It's not truth
gonna be,
serum.
Right. But they are going to be more truthful than their public persona. And they're going to, if they're dead, they know they're dead. They know how they died. But, like John F. Kennedy isn't going to be able to tell you who did it. He was in a car. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not stuff like that. So you get one person. Again, we're going to pick three. That you, alive or dead, who do you interview for an hour prime time, Nick? The floor is yours. You have the prime special. The world is watching. Who are you interviewing?
Well, for me,
you can do three choices.
Okay. Am I doing all three or just one right now?
No, maybe go around. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for starters, I am fascinated by people who are innovators, people who have something special to offer or things like that, people that, just people that kind of step outside of the box and have something that no one else in their field can seem to figure out. So it's a no-brainer for me that I would want to interview the owners of RPM Bike Shop. Our friends over at RPM Bike Shop have the most incredible line of electric bikes that you can even imagine, okay? And you might think, well, sure, that's all well and dandy, but I mean, the owners of RPM Bike Shop must be inaccessible. And that, my friends, is why this is so incredible, because they're not inaccessible to you. As a matter of fact, if you're listening in northeastern Ohio, they're not far from your area. They are located conveniently in Carrollton, Ohio. RPM Bike Shop, as I said, finest electric bikes in the field. Where could you find one? Well, you could simply go to Facebook and search for their page on Facebook. Just search RPM Bike Shop. You can also go to their website, rpmbikeshop.com, and see all the wonderful electric bikes that they have to offer. Hell, if you want to interview them yourselves, just give them a call, 330-808-7792, and they will answer all of your questions. You might have a lot of questions. They'll give you an
hour, too.
About an electric bike.
Call them.
I mean, they probably have other customers, but certainly they will be accommodating, I would imagine, and answer your questions. So, or you could just roll on out there to Carrollton, Ohio, check out the bikes that they have to offer, and who knows, you might even be rolling on out of there in your very own electric bike from our friends at RPM Bike Shop. So,
very good.
That's obviously an easy one.
I've known Julian Rob for over 20 years, and I've had the door slammed in my face several times.
Can I have just an hour? Can I have 60 minutes of your time? Can I just have 60 minutes of your time?
Not even a joke. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead, Nick.
So they would be a good choice. However, because they're so close to us, I'm not going to include them as one of my three.
You want to pick somebody that's more impossible.
Sure. So one for me, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about with Stan Lee. I would love to interview, and it does tie into what I was saying about RPM Bike Shop, people that I am fascinated by certain people and the path that they have made. I'm a big fan of Spawn. I'm a big fan of Venom, who this gentleman co-created. It is Todd McFarlane. He also worked with Stan Lee very closely when he was working on The Amazing Spider-Man and was employed by Marvel. He's worked for Marvel. He's worked for DC. He started his own comic company, and he's branched out beyond just comics. As far as, his figures literally hang all over my wall. As a young kid, transitioning from a young little kid playing with toys into I'm too old to play with action figures, but I sure like the way they look. And he was creating these detailed, super intricate, lifelike figures that I, to this day, like I said, I'm looking at them right now. They hang on my wall in the box. They're lovely display pieces. Just so many things. And in media, and he's got his hands in everything Spawn related, which is a very popular character that he created over 30 years ago now, I believe. So Todd McFarlane will be a big one. And just I think on a personal level for me, I just think his life's so damn cool. I would just love to interview him and understand someone like his train of thought as to how, I guess I'm such an inside the box thinker, to meet someone like him who, yes, got into comic books and things like that, and then just forged his own path, and then thought, well, not only am I going to do comics, I'm going to branch out into the toy business, and Spawn's going to have a TV series, and we're going to do a movie, and his hands are in everything. The Spawn movie they're making right now, he's in all the meetings, he's deciding who to cast, he's getting Jamie Foxx. It's just, I don't know. I'm really blown away by how he just kind of, it's like if you were just one of us, or if you might be listening to this podcast, just somebody interested in geeky things or nerd culture, this guy just goes out and whatever he's interested, he's got his hands in it and he makes it a reality. And I just think it's so cool. So Todd McFarlane would be one I would love to sit down for an hour with.
He was
Pick his
on
brain.
a few months ago. He was on the Jim Norton, Sam Roberts podcast. Well, their Sirius XM show, but they put it on the podcast feed. And dude is fascinating as shit. He would be a good interview, like an in-depth, sit down. So good choice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. Dean, what do you got?
My first choice is going to be, I'm going big, go big or go home. This person, I don't even want to justify it as calling him a man, but this person was one of the most unfortunately influential people of the 20th century. Heck, I think he even made Man of the Year for Time Magazine, which I always found odd. But what you could figure out what pure evil does and looks like, ladies and gentlemen, my hour sit down is going to be with Adolf Hitler.
That's a that's a real good one.
Just to see why, you know what I mean? What is the level of dysfunction in a fucking dude's head like that makes you do what you do? Yes, you could go and interview Dahmer or Bundy, King Kong, not Ted. And you're never going to get the, you know what I mean? You're never going to really get the evil out of somebody that you would from Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
I think it would.
We're not celebrating anybody here. It's nothing
not,
like that.
no,
It's
just
this is just a pure journalism.
Yes.
It would be good for people to understand this person in some way, shape, or form. As soon as I'm done
interviewing, he goes straight back to hell.
Right.
Deservedly. This is, this idea is just to get purely educational interview type situation. You know what I mean? Let the world, know and see where, again, somebody like that's going to try to justify, but it's bullshit, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think it would be fascinating.
And like you said, it just to in today's context and questions you could ask and things like that you could try to get inside the mind, it would be fascinating because, like you said, we've discussed it before. Typically we're talking about superhero movies or something, but the line that every villain is the hero in their own story. So to try to get inside the mind of you feel like what you're doing is so important and so right, but it's so monstrous to everybody else, or at least everyone who doesn't follow you. You know what I mean? It would. That's an incredible pick because that would really. Like you said, just from a pure, just trying to understand, trying to get a glimpse inside of the thought process of what would make someone think that way is just wild.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, and it's create awareness as well, just so people
Sure.
can see that. Yeah, the
So you
tactics
don't repeat
that a
itself.
person exactly right. So you don't forget.
How do we
this
not let
person.
this happen again in another
Right.
form?
Right. Exactly.
So, Brian, you got your first pick?
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one here. So I had this is another one we talked about last evening here, but there's definitely different picks you can go through. But some of the you think about some of the founding fathers of the nation. So probably would go with I had Washington or Jefferson. I would say Jefferson here. So just in the sense of I think it would be fascinating to
He was in Hamilton. I know
understand.
who that is.
Yes, that's right.
Thomas
You're an unfortunate human being. You know that. An
What? I
unfortunate
said I
human
know who
being.
he is.
Yes, because of. Anyways, Brian, go ahead.
No, just to understand the mindset and the determination and what the vision was there to talk about that firsthand, what the vision of this nation, what it was intended for them I think it plus for people today to hear it,
Yeah,
would
from the
probably
horse's mouth.
exactly change their mindset in many respects to where you have all these cockamamie interpretations of the Constitution and what the forefathers thought and all that. Well, this is an opportunity to hear some of the actual intentions firsthand,
Yep.
and maybe some good comes out of it. Because you can't argue with someone who was involved in the creation of the nation,
Ooh,
but just to hear
one thing
the
that you could
stories.
do.
Go ahead, please.
One thing you could do is show them like a video retrospective of Donald Trump's presidency and say, "Is this what you meant?"
Exactly. Right. Something like that. You're right. You
He's
know
like,
that.
"Fuck no."
Yeah. Have there's so many things you could have, let's understand what you meant about bearing arms. Let's understand this, let's understand that. But but again, just the vision and the determination of the
every citizen should be able to cut off bears' arms and
wear them.
wear them as their own.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Right. Yeah, and then you would have the opportunity as well to describe, this is where things are, and
Right.
what do you think about where we are today? How does this,
His response,
compare?
"Hold on, I'm nauseous."
It would be probably disappointing, and some things I think would be okay, but I think a lot of things would be very disappointing for the forefathers in many respects. But anyway,
It'd be crazy. Like you went through and described all of that to him. Where we're at, and he goes, "Whew, that's a lot to take in, Brian. Let's back up for a minute. Who is this Shakira again? Describe her some more, please."
Shakira.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
Your buddy Honest Dave would love. No, that's a different time period. I was gonna say your hips don't lie.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just
No.
Because what was he?
Yeah.
Was like later or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So what's this like? Ben Lo? Is it J Lo?
Mhm.
How does this work exactly? The Toctic. What is this?
Talker ticks.
Yeah. So you have people that are doing self-dentistry. What has happened to the intelligent level of this nation exactly?
Ooh, tell me
Yeah.
more about this convincing idiots. That sounds
Sure.
fascinating.
Self-dentistry.
Right.
When your teeth fall out, you don't just leave it and move on.
That's weird.
You mean like 4 zillion people record stuff and put it out there and expect people to listen to it? I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. What qualifications and criteria do you have in order to do something like this? Yeah, you probably have a lot of questions. For us, you'd probably be very interested to interview
Right.
someone from our time and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna head back over here to
It's legal
Monticello
for what
in
I
the
did
sky."
with Sally. No. Anyways,
Anyway, yeah, but I think that you can almost name any of the forefathers there, but I think Jefferson would be particularly interesting. So
yeah, I
There you
think
go.
your pick's
That's
so
fine.
good. That's actually I have to change mine because he was on my list.
okay, well there you have it.
So
So
Yeah.
there was why Jefferson though? Because there's a bunch of them, right? So why did you both pick Jefferson?
he wrote the Constitution. He
Okay.
was the secret head writer of the Constitution.
Okay.
He had like the whole fucking ball of wax. This whole government that we have was essentially his brainchild.
Okay.
If you ever want some fascinating reading, he wrote. He rewrote the Bible. Like he would read it over and over, and then write like his version comparative to what he read and what he knows. Yeah, I mean, he had so many. I mean, talking about like a prolific thinker. I mean, he is just one of the most fascinating. He is the most fascinating founding father, hands down. So that's
Okay.
why he was on my list.
Okay.
There you go. Nick,
Interesting.
who else do you have?
This one is a little more. Well, that was my last one was pop culture related as well, but this one specifically. So, as a long-standing big fan of the television show Saturday Night Live, I would love to sit down with Lorne Michaels for an hour. And the reason being, what I find so interesting and impressive about Saturday Night Live is that, I don't know if I mentioned this on last week's episode, but we recently found on Peacock there's a 24/7 Saturday Night Live channel where it plays just sketches to whatever, just some are from the 70s and the 60s, some are from a couple years ago, some are from the 90s and it's sketches constantly on this SNL channel, and there's no at random. So as I'm watching this, and I look back to things that, because I think we can all agree, we've already touched on this in past episodes with Airplane to different levels and what we find funny. Comedy is changing. Comedy has changed. What is funny now is not what was funny in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's a decisive decade, marker in the sand there, but comedy has changed. Things that are funny are subjective, and things that I think what we've discovered and things that we've talked about and what we all find funny and in different ways, things that either you saw when they were out and have carried with you remain funny, or things like that. But I watch sketches from like one will come on from the 70s and you're like, I get what they're doing, I get what the joke is, but like what, and Robin and I are sitting and she's like, this isn't funny, and I'm like, I know, it's not on, it doesn't make you laugh hysterically like you would at something now that really hits home.
Right.
But to them then, that was really funny. And one of my biggest things to try to wrap my head around is like, this is a guy who started it, was there from the inception, and this was his brainchild, and this is his thing, and he's still there, and he's been there all this time. So I would love to know like how he doesn't become outdated. The things that certainly different writers, right? There's different, he's not writing every sketch, and he's not, but like,
He has the be all end all of what sketches go on.
Yeah, he has the creative.
Besides
he's got the thumb on the button.
Season, he's been there for it all.
Yeah, and I would love to just kind of, you see him in things every once in a while. He's on as a little the host is making their appearance for that week and giving their monologue. They might pan to him, or he might be in
that's
something.
a good idea.
You know what I mean? But yeah, he's got this very, monotone way about him, and he seems very. It's funny because
he's
as a
very
guy
Canadian
who's run a comedy show for all these years, he doesn't come across as somebody super lively or boisterous or funny, and it's very. That in itself is funny to me. I would love to talk to him. I'd love to try to understand how, he stays current, how the things that, how his comedy has changed. And I would just love to simply ask him that question and just be like, why, you as someone who's watched this from its very inception all the way through all these years and grown with it and evolved, what do you see? Why is it? Why do I see a sketch from the 70s and not think it's funny? Why do, or I get the joke, but it's not going to make me laugh like, people find hysterical back then, and so on and so forth. So I don't know, just something like that.
People
It's such an intricate.
were laughing hysterically.
Right. Yeah. But and somebody who watched it back then is, they're like, oh, I remember this is so good. It's hilarious. So they're like, you got, and you watch it and you're like, okay. Yeah. Like okay. I get the joke, but it's, and they're in tears because it's just so hilarious. And there's certain sketches that I watch that still I'm rolling. I know exactly what's coming. I know what the joke is. I know everything. I could recite it as it's happening, and it still makes me crack up. So, I think it would be interesting just from a comedic standpoint to like try to understand the way that comedy has evolved, the way that comedy changes, and why we think what's funny is funny, and why the things that we don't find funny aren't funny. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dennis, who are you going to interview next?
I am going with an inventor who changed our lives for the better. I'll just say it right there, because if you are understanding of that, you see light bulbs and is on right now, and you have electricity to your house. Nikola Tesla was somewhere behind that. The man, I mean, some of the stuff he's invented that wasn't even like actually put into use until after his death is incredible. I mean, the man's brain, I mean, it's probably maybe not on the level as Einstein, but the way it was a different kind of brain. You know what I mean? It was a different thought process. What he was able to, I mean, shit, we wouldn't have microwaves and we wouldn't have remote controls. Definitely remote controls. He invented that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even to like the some of the stuff that, not even just like to find out what he was doing that he didn't tell you. I know you said we're not going to get secrets, but like when he died poor and penniless in an apartment in New York City. And within hours of it, within like an hour of the body being taken out, the U.S. government was in there raiding his house, stealing all his files. And nobody knows what those files were, what they said, but they took them very quickly for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, what did he know? What did he invent? What was he close to? Inventing. Shit, he claimed that he talked to aliens, that he created a device that in the evenings, on occasions, he was able to talk and contact with extraterrestrials. I mean, and the dude wasn't crazy, obviously. I mean, it's just, I mean, yeah, talking about fascinating. Nikola Tesla would be an amazing interview.
Very good.
Brian?
I'm going with another. I had Einstein as a possibility as well. I just think talking to a brilliant mind would be fascinating. But I'm going to go with.
Look no further, fella. You found him.
Of course.
Come on.
Well, someone I can't talk to on a regular basis. How about that?
Okay.
If you're talking
Would you
about
like me to start ignoring your calls? Make you feel better?
You already ignore his text, so what would be the difference?
Sure. That's right. I'm going to go with Lincoln. So I think that's just another.
He was a president also.
Yes.
He was a president also.
Yes.
You're getting good at this, Nick.
I'm good at this. He's on
but it's just, you've read things about him to where he really struggled for many years, and he tried to make a name for himself in politics, and he continuously lost. And just the sheer, just in this alone, just the sheer determination and perseverance to eventually become the president of the United States, it just is really an interesting story in itself. Just to talk to a person who, clearly in his mind believed that, I'm going to make a name for myself in politics. This just would be an interesting conversation in itself, let alone his ideals. And heck, you certainly talk about, gosh, you get into so much with Lincoln, with the Civil War tribulations and the strategy, and then obviously the end of slavery, and then, the whole mindset around that. Just really fascinating, most fascinating Americans it's ever lived, and it's ever going to live. One of the most important
questions you can ask him, Brian, is, what do you think of the play before?
the play before
he got shot?
Ah,
What did he think of it?
That's
How
right.
was it going?
Right. Yep. 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 And also,
Nick, he was shot in a theater while he was watching a play.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Jeez, these kids these days, I tell you.
And it's like, did you know, Mr. Lincoln, they actually made a story in a movie about you as a vampire hunter? Now, what do you think about that?
I just watched that. I don't know. Did I review that for you
That's
guys?
right.
I love
Holy
it.
shit! I watched that movie. Like a month ago?
I love that movie. It's so much fun.
That is something else.
Yeah.
That is something else. Yeah.
I have the book as well. Read the book. The book was very good. It was actually his memoir or something, and they put the vampire stuff into the book. Is incredible. It's a whole different vibe. Read the book.
Okay.
The movie was fun in itself. It was definitely absurd and over the top. The book was just awesome. Go check that out.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I just think it'd be a great interview. So there you have it.
Yeah.
Nick.
Okay,
Third
well,
and final.
for third and final, I feel the pressure. You guys have been going with great American historical figures. I've gone with all Canadians so far. So I'm going to put an American on my list right now. Definitely, certainly very influential. I don't know if they quite stack up to presidents of the past. I don't know. But for me, this is an easy one because honestly, if I could just get in a room and interview this person for an hour, I could probably just die happy and probably erect. Hillary Duff. I would like to interview Hillary Duff for an hour. I don't care if we talk about avocado toast or banana bread or whatever. I don't give a shit. If I could be in a room and speak to her, oh my God. Like that would be, that's definitely, I have to take one of my 3 interview wishes for Hillary Duff. For
Is the first 5 minutes you doing this? Oh,
my palms are so sweaty. My palms are so sweaty.
Can you tell?
Yeah, my palms are getting sweaty just thinking about it.
Can you smell?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So crazy.
Oh my God. So yes, there it is. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Be like that Chris Farley. One of my favorite skits Chris Farley ever did was he did the interview on the show. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul McCartney.
Like
the average guy interviewing a famous person. I just love.
Do you remember that time when you were in the Beatles? Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, yes.
So awesome. So awesome. Awesome.
It's like that might be our interviews with. Remember when you ended slavery, Mr. Lincoln? Well, yes.
That's awesome.
That was so cool.
That was so awesome. Holy shit, man.
You're neat.
All right, Dean, your third one, sir.
My third one. I mean, this is a very difficult choice.
Yes,
because I mean, look, you have from the beginning of time, from Adam and Eve to Barry Manilow. I mean, the list is so large.
Barry Manilow would be a great interview. I think.
It would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this gentleman, I do it because he should be on a list. I mean, the respect that this man deserves. It's criminal that you two didn't put him on the list because
Kenny Rogers, isn't it?
Because he is a gentleman and a scholar, and he deserves love. And because you two didn't give it to him, I'm going Austin Matthews. Is third on my list because he deserves
fantastic choice.
Respect that you two heathens wouldn't give him. And he's so good that I don't even need to explain why he's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But since Nick doesn't care that much about him, somebody has to. Good job, Nick.
Can I pet your mustache?
You talking to me or
It's Austin. No, it's Austin. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So my third one is more of an entertaining figure.
If it's Turbo Man, I'm gonna shit my pants.
No,
You guys, you're the best pick.
Well, I had a couple names here. I had I did have Stan Lee on my list as a consideration because again, it's all the things we talked about earlier when we honored his memory. But there's a lot of stuff about him out there already, I think. But I think it'd be a great interview. I don't know, just one for me personally. I think it'd be very interesting. Rod Serling.
Okay.
So Rod
I get that.
Serling is the creator of the original Twilight Zone series, which was my favorite television ever. I mean, I have tattoos on my, of the Twilight Zone. I just love it so much. And I reading about him a little bit today, I did not realize that, maybe I did at some point or another, but he died at 50 years old. 50 years old, very young man.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And to put that much creativity out there with the Twilight Zone series that he did, he co-wrote the original Planet of the Apes script, which is just phenomenal, and one of the best endings of any movie that you're going to see, in my opinion. He did Night Gallery, which was a Twilight Zone type of series in the early 70s. But just people that are creative like that, I think it's just a fascinating conversation. So
absolutely,
I want to know everything. How did the idea start for the Twilight Zone? How did you get it on the air? What are some of the messages that you wanted to make sure were portrayed? What are some of the, what are some of your particularly favorite episodes? There's so many questions there as far as, what did you want people to take away from some of these? Because a lot of those, including the Planet of the Apes, there's a lot more. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of meaning behind some of that stuff here with, like you say, political stuff and racism.
The episode about the Vietnam War they did was like so before its time. I'm surprised it made air.
Sure.
Back then, yeah. I mean that guy. I mean what he was able to accomplish was ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then you could talk with him about what some of the current shows that are out there. What does he think about what's happening today?
I'm making him binge watch the whole first season of Martin and see what he thinks.
He's like, I'm going back in the box. So I'm going to go back in the other world. Anyway, I think it'd be a great interview. The great Rod Serling. How about that?
Nice.
Good pick.
Yes. Yeah. Is that 3 each, guys?
That's 3 each.
I got my 3.
Yeah, great pick. And if you're listening or watching us out there, just let us know. Did we get who would you? Same question. Who would you interview?
We're available.
Anybody?
If we're on your list,
right.
we'll interview. We'll take it.
You don't have to, gentlemen. You guys don't have to give a reasoning, but do you guys have an honorable mention off the top of your head?
I initially had thought. Well, I'm under the. So I could bring somebody back from the dead, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is going to be super morbid and potentially disturbing, but I am fascinated by the West Memphis 3 story, that whole thing. If you guys are familiar, in the 90s, the 3 high school kids that got pinned for murder for the 3 young boys that were mutilated and left for dead, they were dead. I want to interview one of those kids because it will, my hope is that someday when I die, whatever happens after here is that whatever embodiment that my spirit takes, that somehow I'm just all-knowing. I know all things. I understand space and aliens and whatever, and I want to know what the fuck happened. I want to know who killed those kids, because it wasn't those kids that they pinned it on, and I don't think it was the family members. I want to know who was involved and why. I want to try to understand. So even though the little kids, unfortunately, couldn't, I think they were like, I don't know, 9, 10, something like that.
Yeah.
Even though they couldn't tell me what happened, one of them could at least tell me some specifics about who killed them, because it drives me nuts. I find it so fascinating and horrifying. But that story has always fascinated me. There's multiple documentaries on HBO and different parts, and a movie's been made about it with Reese Witherspoon and so on and so forth. It's just, I find that story so fascinating that it really, really bothers me. I prefer
Reese without her spoon, but that's just me.
Well, sure. Yeah, right. With the fork.
Brian, do you have a honorable mention?
Well, it's a couple that I mentioned. Just Washington. Again, he was next to my. Just the pressures and the honor of being the first president of the country.
Oh, not Kerry Washington.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think it'd be. I think his and the people thought he should be a king, and he's like, no, this is not what this is all about. And just to, like, it'd also be good for people to listen to that commentary again from the man himself. And then, as I mentioned already, Stan Lee, and then Einstein, I think would be fascinating as well. Just to
It would be.
to talk to a brilliant mind and just how a shy kid became what he became and how he tolerated. It's just amazing. Just how a mind like that thinks.
Absolutely.
To ask would be a fascinating interview. How about you, Dean?
I got two. One is Winston Churchill.
Sure.
Just everything
Okay.
he went through. It's kind of you could probably go 1-2 or 1A 1B with him and Roosevelt. But
Okay.
both would be fascinating about because World War II is such a turbulent time for the access, America and England and England becoming so close to defeat. But I mean, Winston Churchill really held shit. He damn near held the world together along with, Roosevelt. So that would be fascinating and
Yeah.
just such a great orator. He would be a really good interview. And my other one is Genghis Khan. So Genghis Khan, people, they say that the majority of there's a ridiculous amount of people can be traced back to his lineage because he fucked so much. And I just think it would be fascinating to ask him about, that fucking. So Genghis Khan.
All right. Yep. Okay. Excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a block in Kenmore that I may or may not have helped start just from the 90s.
There we go.
Yeah, but it just can't even compare to someone like a Genghis Khan, it sounds like. So.
You would,
Yeah.
if I didn't talk to you every week, you would be my honorable mention because I think
Yeah.
national broadcast. I think you'd plug the shit out of this podcast.
You're on a more
Maybe
Ric
we
Flair
can make a
level,
fucking
probably
$1.
than the Genghis Khan, but still.
That's right. That's right. You may not watch it, but you're going to see an ad for it on fucking TikTok and Twitter and
That's right.
etc. So yeah. No, good conversation. That's very good. Like you said, harkens back to the bar conversations and stuff that motivated all of us to start this podcast to begin with. So yeah, very good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to take a short break here, guys. All right, welcome back to Convincing Idiots. Yeah, we talked about at the beginning of the show and even at the end of the last segment that our main segment this evening was going to be talking about a lot of the Marvel movie rumors that are out there around Secret Wars, etc. Also some of the DC stuff out there. But, frankly, the last segment ran longer than we thought, which is perfectly fine. There was a lot of good dialogue. And we don't want to rush this main segment. So, for the evening here, we're just going to wrap it up here, guys. And we're going to
You also want to limit the sexiness these, that our fans get.
Of course.
There is
There's
such
only-
a thing as being oversexed.
Right.
That's right.
I mean, there is a such thing as oversaturated panties, and we've
That's
done
right.
enough. We've done enough.
That's right. I think maybe 12 or 13% of our listeners are female, I believe, according to the demographics. Or maybe it's 2%. Something
Come
like
on.
that.
Well, those
Yeah.
2% has shit dripping on their shoes. So we got to
That's
get
right.
out of here.
That's right. Yeah, so we're going to table that topic for a future episode, maybe next week. We'll talk more about that so we can give it its proper attention. And we're just going to go ahead and end our sexiness,
Mm-hmm.
to Dean's point, and
Let you guys mop up and get on with your day.
that's right. That's right. That's right. And we'll wrap. You can find us in our OnlyFans account. Looking for that on. What's the
I got
name?
them feeds, baby.
I got the name somewhere. We'll find it. But
What is that where they people listen to the sounds? What SMR or whatever? What is that? SMRS or whatever?
Yeah.
But our SMRSP is just going to be me doing. Oh, so good! It's so fucking good.
Yeah, just on a loop from last week. Yeah, that's
Right.
actually my new ringtone. Actually,
Good, good.
So
Yeah.
good.
That's so
Yeah.
fucking good.
Answer the fucking phone. It's gonna be so good.
that's right. All right, so we'll wrap it up here, guys. Before we do, actually, I have a uncreative segue into our final sponsors here before we wrap up here. Golden Heart Tattoos. So I did mention my Twilight Zone tattoos in the last segment there. So
That would have been a good
both
time to
of
segue
these-
into this.
It
That
would have
would've
been a
been.
great
That
time.
would have been. That would have been. That's okay. So I mentioned interviewing Rod Serling and the great Scott Oswald did these Twilight Zone tattoos. So go check him out and his partners at Golden Heart Tattoo. If you're in the Norton, Ohio area, you can find them on Facebook at Golden Heart Norton, Norton. Find them online, goldenhearttattoos.com, or give them a call at 234-706-2982. Get your own Twilight Zone tattoo in 2023. And our friends over at Magic City Comics and Collectibles. So if you're in the Barberton Norton area, also looking for some, of course, current and vintage comic books, very cool pop culture and nerdy gift ideas, Funko Pops, etc. They're some of the biggest selections in town. Go check them out in downtown Barberton. You can give them a call at 330-575-5579. You can find them on Facebook, Magic City Comics and Collectibles. And go check them out and sponsor them, support them as well, I'm trying to
Because
say.
they're our sponsor.
So, that's right, because they were our sponsor. That's right. So, Nick, why don't you remind the folks where we could be found, sir? And we'll wrap up this other extravaganza.
Absolutely. Well, if you
Yes.
are looking for us on the interwebs,
I know
it is
you are.
It is no secret we're here. See, because of the shirt right in the cigarette. Well, we're not going to keep it secret
clever bastard.
from you. You can find the links to all of our social media accounts by searching on Google, Convincing Idiots, LINKTREE. I always say Google. You don't have to use Google. You can use Bing or like
You can
Yahoo,
ask
or
Jeeves
like-
if you want.
You can. I don't know if Jeeves will still answer
No,
you. If
he's
that's a
not
thing.
anymore?
Ask, but
Okay.
yes, Jeeves is a good throwback reference. Whatever search engine you prefer, you can search on it. Convincing Idiots Linktree. It'll take you to our Linktree. It's going to take you to all our social media accounts as well as our merch store, places you can hear our podcast, and our website, which is convincingidiots.wordpress.com. in which all of that information is also available to you. So please be sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and all those other wonderful little things that you like to do. So for this episode of Convincing Idiots, I am Millennial Nick.
I am the youthful Zennial Dean.
Gen X Brian.
Have we convinced you to come back and interview us again next week? Hi, this is Millennial Nick, along with Gen X Brian and Zennial Dean. Hey, if you liked that video, which we really hope you did, you should like and subscribe. That would be great. Weird.
Yep.
What?
Said
you look weird?
No, the shot, because I don't like the curtain.